What's going on YouTube? My name's Ben. I wanted to do a little tutorial for you guys, or a little more in-depth tutorial on how to convert your Xbox 360 power adapter right there into a 12 volt AC to DC converter. Basically, I am powering my amplifiers that I just pulled out of my car, since I'm getting a new one and probably not going to be throwing them back in anytime soon. And I looked up a couple of tutorials on YouTube and on online on Google and stuff, and I got the general idea of how to do it, but they weren't really too descriptive, and I needed a more in-depth thing, so I went ahead, did it myself. It all works out, and I wanted to give you guys a little more in-depth tutorial. So to start off, using Xbox 360 power adapter. This is one that I got used from a local computer shop since I had gotten rid of Xbox a while ago. The Xbox adapter, this is what it looks like on the back, in case you guys are trying to match it up if you guys are going to get a new one or a used one as well. You have to get the proper adapter. Some older ones, for the original Xbox, I believe, you need to take apart the original Xbox and pull out the power converter in the Xbox, and I didn't want to have to deal with that, so get this one, and it's really simple to do. Basically, cut off the end piece. I already went ahead and did it. This is what mine was. I cut it off before this thing right here, or after this thing, whatever you want to say, so that way I wouldn't have to deal with that big bulky piece of shit. And you're left with this once you strip it all down. There are, I don't know if you guys can, hopefully the camera will focus in on that. That little white piece right there, that's just filling in the tube. I can't remember exactly what the purpose is. I looked it up a while back, but just go ahead and cut that away. It'll run all the way through the tube and be coming out. Just go ahead and cut it away wherever your point is. And then the other thing to look at is the little metal pieces right there. That's just additional ground inside the cable, but all four of these black pieces will, all four of these black cords, I should say, will take its place. So you can just cut that away as well. So this is what you're left with. I already went ahead and did this, as I already tested this before I made the video, but the red wire and the blue wire is the turn on OK wire. This has to have a positive charge to it in order to signal the power brick itself to actually turn on. So you're going to ground it right to this red one right here. And by doing that, you're going to allow the brick to give power to the 12 volt out ribbons, or the 12 volt out wires. So once you go ahead and do that, strip down all your coverings of all 8 wires, or all 10 wires, I should say. There's one smaller yellow wire right here compared to the other two. I believe it is a 20 gauge. On my wire strippers, I used the 20 gauge right here, and I trimmed that down. And then the other ones, I believe, are 18. Alright, so once you go ahead and do that, everything should be stripped, and I'm big on making it look clean and making it look right and having the wiring be right the first time, so that way you don't run into any issues with wiring. So alright, go ahead and get started on that. I'm going to pause this real quick and do a couple more wires, and then I'll be back with you guys. Alright guys, so we're back now. What I did was I started to add the 2 butt end connectors onto the positive and negative wires. And if you notice this little black sleeve right here, it's heat shrink tubing. Basically that's just providing better insulation, guaranteeing no contact points between positive and negative wires. You're not going to ground out, you're not going to have sparks flying everywhere, you're not going to ruin your amp doing it that way. So it's basically like a fail-safe. I believe that these are 16 gauge butt end connectors. I could be mistaken, but I know that they're usually by colors, and the other 2 colors are red and blue. I know that the red one is the smallest one, and then it goes up to blue, and then after blue it goes to yellow. So you're going to want to use the yellow ones because you're going to use a thick gauge wire coming out of these to run to your amps, and I'll explain why in a minute. But like I said, heat shrink tubing, as you can see, I already got it kind of tucked in on this one. You can get smaller size tubing. This is what I had left over from a while ago, so I just used this and I just tucked it in there a little bit. As you can see with the yellow one, if I can focus in on it, hopefully it shows it. Come on. Maybe it won't show it. Either way, the yellow wire that I have has a little bit exposed on the end of it. It has a little bit of silver exposed, the actual wire itself, not in a casing. So I went ahead and I'm gonna put these up, and it's real simple to do the heat shrink tubing. All you need is a lighter, and what you do is go ahead and hold down the flame to it, and as you can see, it's shrinking right around it. Don't hold it on there in one spot. As you can see, I kind of wiggled it a little bit. Go ahead and wiggle that around, and that way you don't burn anything. Yeah, I made a little boo-boo right there just now, but that's okay. It's not going to damage anything. And now with the heat shrink tubing, you can see it perfectly conforms to it, and it insulates it beautifully. So let's go ahead and do that for this one as well. Alright, got that one. And then heat it up. And there we go. Yeah, it'll smoke a little bit and stuff like that. I mean, as long as you're not burning anything to a crisp and you're not burning through the heat shrink tubing, you'll be fine. You can use a heat gun for those as well, if you have one and want to use that instead. That way you don't have a flame or anything like that. Always a smart choice, but I was too lazy to go grab mine, so that's what I did. Alright, so now let's get to the actual wiring to the amp. So from these, on a lot of tutorials, I saw people using this kind of wire, which is basically 18 gauge or 16 to 20 gauge wire most of the time. But if you think about it, when you're in a car, you wire with, well, for my car, I use 2 gauge wire, which, I mean, you can see the thickness of it. There's no way in hell that's going to fit. I use a 2 gauge wire, and then I have a power block distributor. It goes in at that gauge and comes out at 8 gauge right here, and that's because I have multiple amps, yada yada yada. I'm not using that for this setup, but I'm going to use this size wire right here. I believe that this is Soshi 6 gauge. You could probably use a 10 gauge or an 8 gauge wire. It'd probably fit better. I had to modify this one a little bit. As you can see, I stripped it down already, and the end is too thick if I were to wrap it up all together. So what I'm doing is basically just trim it in half, and then that way it'll fit into the butt end connector that you have. Okay, and then that way you'll have a good crimp on that, and it'll be able to fit. And then you can just cut that off, and unfortunately I don't have heat shrink tubing for this. Good luck finding it. It's pretty big, and when you start getting up into big size like this, it costs more than I really want to spend on this stupid little project. So basically just cut off the excess, this stuff right here, and then tape over it, or use liquid electrical tape. And I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll be back with you guys again. Alright guys, so I finished my install. As you can see from here, I wired both the black and yellow wires to the butt end connectors, and then I ran the 6 gauge wire off of those. On the power wire, I threw in a fail-safe 100-AUG fuse. It was the inline fuse that I had in my car, and I wanted to put that in there as a fail-safe in case a surge or something like that happened. That way it would protect you. That fuse will blow and will not fry your amplifier. So on my amp, let me see if I can get some lighting on this. Alright, that little wire going right across the middle one, it is from my power to my turn-on wire. Now, if you're running this like I am, I'm using my phone to input the audio. So the radio normally supplies the turn-on wire. I don't have one of those, so you can just hook it right up to the power wire, And the amplifier will always be on as long as the thing is plugged in, as long as the power brick is plugged in. You can put an on-off switch there and flick that on and off. I might do that later on once I clean all this up and make it look more neat. But yeah, everything's running. Like I said, I only have my subs up right now. So that's all that we have for audio. So all it is just going to be bass. But I'll give you guys a quick show that it works. So as you guys can see, subs are working. I used a RCA to auxiliary 3.5mm to run it off my phone or any other device really. I could use the laptop, whatever it may be that I want to use. Or you could wire up, like I said, a head unit and use the head unit as your input. I will be adding in my 4-channel amp with speakers after, so it's actually a sound system, not just bass. And that way it'll all sound pretty. Yeah, so if you guys need any help or anything, feel free to leave comments below or message me, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed.